Welcome back to the Flower of Freedom. We're on chapter 26. So you know what to do. Drop those burdens outside the door. They won't fit in the chair anyway. And this way you'll be more comfortable. Settle in and we'll begin. Chapter 26, Knowing the Truth. Marie leaned close to Bertie's ear and she said, "We will always know the truth. We will never change in our hearts, but there is no way that we can hold back this tide now that we've agreed to swim here." We both thought they were unlikely to give you the time of day, but that is working out better than we expected. Did you notice that they changed my name? On being introduced as Marie Claire Pomade, Uncle Aki put a new birth certificate on my bedside table last night. It says that I am a French citizen named Marie Claire Pomade. Wow, that man has power. He got a new birth certificate issued for someone who's already 16 years old? They banished the Saint Laurent part altogether. How do you feel about it? Bertie wanted to know. Who is Claire? I feel a bit sick, really. I made this bargain and now I must live with it. But it feels like there is some fine print that they didn't bother to tell me about. Uncle Key told me that Claire was his brother's wife and my grandmother. It seems that she was part of the falling out between the two brothers. I don't know any more than that. He wouldn't talk about it. He did show me some photo albums, though. He had pictures of Anne-Marie as a baby and as a child. He said that they were found in the attic of the Pomade Chateau when the war was over. I thought I would try to get a copy of some of them to send back to Mama. What do you think? Oh, she'd love that, Marie, he said with a rush of joy. His papa had once told him that he had never met two girls who were better friends than Mama and Anne-Marie. So far I can live with some of their choices, but you know me, Bertie. I will only cooperate so far and no further. They seem to want to be able to claim me. The name is how they are telling everyone that I belong to them. Bertie smiled. He knew her all right. This couple had no idea how formidable Marie could be. They would always have each other's back no matter what. At that party and several other soirees, they began to make friends with young people who were there. Except for a few, the boys all wanted to be Bertie's friend to get at Marie. There were a couple of guys, though, who were trying just as hard to be polite as Bertie was. They gravitated together when they started to talk about the things that interested them in them. Philippe talked about something new on the scene called computers, and he'd loved to imagine what they might one day be able to do. Another guy, Joseph, was fascinated by physics, and he wanted to discuss Schrodinger's cat. Michaud wanted to discuss chemistry and all the ways that chemicals could be harnessed to improve human life. They were surprised by Bertie's fascination with engineering. I thought you looked like one of those polo types, Philippe said. No polo, but yes to ice hockey and baseball, Bertie responded, and they were not used to athletic boys also being interested in science. Oh, that's all Marie's doing. She's the coolest. She's taught me so much since we were little kids. I would never have checked it out on my own. Don't tell her I said that. She's cool, though. It'll go to her head, he joked. They wondered how he could be so flippant about a girl who was so completely lovely. He obviously had no designs on her, and it seemed like he never even wanted to date her. They were oblivious to the profound connection between the brother and the sister, but then they did not know that they were brother and sister. Little did Bertie know that he had just made a posse of friends for Marie for the coming year. They would look out for her, and often they would include her when things were tough. Uncle Aki came and drew Bertie away from his new friends. As soon as they were out of earshot, he said, "Don't spend all your time with those geeks, Bertie. I want you to get to know some of the sons of the finance men and those with connections. It will help Marie immeasurably if you are able to join her on the winter ski trip. These will be the sorts of boys who will also be there, and they will be the men she would do well to marry." Bertie looked at Uncle Aki to see if he was joking. He wasn't. Bertie knew that there was no point in arguing, but he reminded himself to warn Marie. He just played along when he was introduced to the right sort. He made mental notes to warn Marie of the bullies, the creeps, and the smarmy ones, who seemed to have all the polished words and actions that were so attractive to Uncle Aki and Paulette. Paulette thought of herself as the belle of every ball. She seemed to swan in and out of groups as though she were the guest of honor. People were unfailingly polite to her, even as she drew attention to her new jewelry and expensive clothing. Paulette was always expensively dressed and bejeweled. She had once been a ravishing beauty, by all accounts. Late one evening, a drunk guy made a passing comment that the old hag had survived as a Nazi collaborator, and then she'd hooked a key when her main Nazi fled. "Why does Aki put up with her?" he asked his equally drunken friend before they passed out of earshot. Bertie kept making mental notes. He and Marie did not get much time alone together because Paulette was always coming in and wedging herself between them. It was part of the cost of the bargain, they both understood. Bertie tried to forearm Marie with all the insights he had gained from the soirees for all the days and months that he would not be there. Marie got a particularly dark look on her face when Bertie told her about the drunken conversation that he had overheard concerning Paulette. Marie kept mental notes too. That's the end of this chapter. Just wanted to remind you that I wrote The Flower of Freedom to remind us all of the lives that were impacted by the Nazi overtaking of France. Those impacts echoed around the world, and forgetting the suffering allows us all to be vulnerable to repeating the cataclysmic mistakes of the past. Thanks for coming. I remain your friend, Deborah.